Here's what's making news now around Indiana. A new study from PricewaterhouseCoopers shows the domestic maritime industry generates nearly $4 billion in economic impact in Indiana. The report shows the industry employs more than 15,000 people statewide, jobs that generate nearly $875 million in wages. Indiana has 2 ports along the Ohio River, one on Lake Michigan, and is continuing to pursue a 4th port on the Ohio near Lawrenceburg. The Fort Wayne Area Plumbing, Heating, Cooling Contractors Association is launching a new apprenticeship program. The association told our partners at IIBTV in Fort Wayne it will offer a 4-year program with hands-on training in both plumbing and HVAC to rebuild its talent pipeline. And the Grant County Economic Growth Council is hosting a community pitch night to help entrepreneurs launch their businesses. 4 business startups will pitch their plans to judges and a live audience. Applicants will battle for a 1-year free lease in downtown Marion in the Ridley Towers, and also tax, legal, and strategic planning advice. City and business leaders have invested $7 million in the redevelopment of that historic building. Well, Indiana is this week hosting one of the world's largest cybersecurity conferences. Cybertech was started in Tel Aviv, and its global events have been held in places like Rome, Singapore, Panama, and now Indianapolis with the Cybertech Midwest Summit. The event attracted global thought leaders, including the Consul General of Israel to the Midwest. Israel is the 11th largest and 8th fastest growing source of foreign direct investment in the U.S. Indiana already home to 8 Israeli-owned businesses. And I sat down with Aviv Ezra at the summit to talk about the emerging relationship between Indiana and Israel and what he calls an unbreakable bond. Well, you are in Indianapolis for 2 reasons, really, here at the Indiana Convention Center in downtown Indianapolis, the Cybertech Midwest Summit.
Correct.
But also, I think an interesting element, this pop-up consulate. Tell us about that.
Correct. As the Israeli Consul General to the Midwestern United States, we're based in Chicago. But for us, it's an understanding that we want to relocate our consulate from time to time to the most important centers that make a difference in the relationship with Israel. Guess which one? Which state was the first one? It was the great state of Indiana, following a superb conversation and a superb visit with your governor, Governor Eric Holcomb, who has visited Israel. Had the honor of meeting him about 2.5 years ago. And he promised me, he said, we're going to be moving the U.S. Embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. It took us 71 years, but we'll make it happen. I said to him, Mr. Governor, as a reciprocal element, I will be moving my consulate from Chicago to Indianapolis at least for 4 or 5 days, and here we are. This is what we call the pop-up consulate.
Well, and that relationship between Israel and Indiana seems to be really gaining momentum. You represent 9 states here in the Midwest, but Indiana has a lot going on with Israel.
That is correct. For us, Indiana is a role model of how to really make the enhancement of the relationship to a better level. We work on 3 levels: the government to government, the business to business, and the people to people. And for us, the example of the governor's visit to Israel and a reciprocal visit of one of Israel's senior ministers just recently, the Minister of Ag here in Indiana, paved the way to that. So we have government relations, government to government, in terms of governors, members of Congress, U.S. senators, state legislators. I had the honor of speaking on the floor on behalf of the state of Israel with the Speaker Basma inviting me. Business to business, we have now Cybertech Midwest, located right here for 3 years. This is the second out of 3. We're very honored to have about 15 Israeli companies here making a presence right here in the state of Indiana, believing in the potential. And of course, also the 3rd level, what we call the P2P, the people to people. We have a great relationship with the Indiana National Guard, for example.
Talk about Israel, for those who don't know, and innovation and entrepreneurship. Outside of Silicon Valley, no place where innovation is more important than Israel. Give us a thumbnail of that innovation piece.
That is a very good point, because today, when you look at Israel, the first thing that comes into mind is the conflict-related matters. But Israel is much more than just about a conference. It's high-tech, IT, telecommunications, medical, cybersecurity, artificial intelligence. We have in Israel today about 6,000 startup companies. We're #1 in the world per capita. We're #3 in the world in absolute number, after 2 small countries called America and China. 500 startup companies that deal with the automotive industry, 300 startup companies that deal with cyber. At the end of the day, we encourage every person that is involved in the high-tech industry to come to Israel. We're going to have a direct non-stop flight coming up very soon from the Midwest to Israel. We didn't have that for 3 decades. It's going to be inaugurated next year, and we welcome all of your viewers to come to Israel sooner rather than later.
Indiana or Israeli companies are increasingly locating and investing in Indiana. There are operations in Portage, in Evansville, in Richmond, to name a few. When the governor and others visited Israel in 2018, a memorandum of understanding was signed. Not a typical MOU, ceremonial in nature. This has some teeth and could really lead to some interesting partnerships.
Correct. The idea was to make sure that we're going to have an opportunity and a platform to bring Israeli companies to invest right here in Indiana and vice versa with the relationship. The key person or the key quarterback for that is Secretary of Commerce, my good friend Jim Challenger, has been traveling to Israel, just recently came back, already recognized and identified at least a few Israeli companies that are willing to come here and to invest further as Israeli investment over here to bring job opportunities and the Israeli money here. We'll make it happen.
Final question for you. The sectors of the economy that really seem to be a natural fit, I think cybersecurity and related issues, and also the ag biosciences.
You're right. Ag tech, water technologies, cyber technologies, artificial intelligence are the four things that we feel are suitable, of course, working with our Indiana partners, and we will make an effort to bring the right people here. We believe in investment in this relationship, and I think that the best is yet to come.
Consul General of Israel to the Midwest, Aviv Ezra.